Several years ago, this plum tree behind me bore a lot of fruit, like more than usual, really an overabundance of fruit. There were so many on the tree. And this is a good thing. I love abundance. But seriously, this was like a lot of fruit. Each branch was just dripping under the weight of plums. And this actually caused the quality of the fruit to suffer this particular season. It just didn't taste as good, as well as the fruit was smaller than usual. And furthermore, during that season, there were actually some branches that began to break under the weight of the fruit. Fast forward a couple months later on a cold December day, not unlike this one, and I was standing there getting ready to prune my plum tree, and I noticed that its branches were going everywhere. There were just so many branches, just in every direction. It was kind of wild. And I was looking at it, and right at that moment, Yahweh downloaded something into my heart very clearly saying, Evan, this plum tree is you right now. This is like your life right now. And I knew exactly what he was talking about right away. He began to show me that all of the branches of my life, like I was sending my branches, my influence, my avenues of commitments and things that I had made throughout my life into way too many things, too many areas. And, they were all good things, and I was producing fruit in all these areas, but it just wasn't very effective. And the fruit, if you will, was not as good of quality. And even worse of all, under this pressure of just having way too many things going on, yes, my branches began to crack. I began to break under all these pressures and commitments. Colossians 2:7 mentions being rooted and established in Christ, being built up in the faith. And that's amazing because it is God's will that we produce much fruit. He wants that. But he also wants it to be sustainable so that we can keep producing an abundance of fruit. And to do that, we really need to have our lives be in a strong foundation, well-rooted, drawing up from the good source, right? And to be really strong in our trunk, in our structure, the structure of our life, so that we can support fruit bearing and keep it sustainable. Do we ever feel like, we're just overloaded with way too many things because of our culture and the way that it causes us to think that we have to say yes to everything, and then, we realize that we're just not really getting things done the way that we should. This is because sometimes we take on more things than we're actually called to do or to be, right? And we begin to bear weight and carry things and strive for things that we weren't meant for. And again, these can be actually all really good things, but it doesn't mean that it's good for you in the long run, and most importantly, the others around you. In the orchard valleys of California and certain other places across the world that are responsible for feeding a lot of the population fruit, these people know, these commercial growers know that when they're training a young tree, they actually prune it and train it down to sometimes 2, 3, maybe maximum of 4 main terminal branches. Then the secondary and tertiary branches grow off of that once those are strong and thick and established. They know that to produce good quality fruit and lasting sustainable fruit, the tree has to be narrowed down to its main branches. And this is exactly what I'm learning from my life. What God has been teaching me is to just narrow down to the things that I was called to be and to express in the world and be really effective at just those things, because that's what I was meant for. Also, a good word about fruit bearing. Let the fruit of your life be a product of what you have been drawing from. In other words, let it be an inside-out product of the flow of abiding in the source of life. It is a healthy, natural process when you are rooted and grounded, and what you are taking up and drawing up ends up overflowing in what is fruit. You are simply abiding in the vine and producing much fruit. This is so much better than an outside, like an external reaching and striving to achieve something. That will not be sustainable. So the next time we have way too many branches heading into way too many areas, overcommitted, way too busy, and even overextended to where the product of our life is really suffering, we're not as effective, and we're about to break under the pressure, may we be like that simplified orchard tree that has been narrowed down to the few good things that we have been created for in order to produce good quality, great fruit, abundance of fruit, and a sustainability in our lives. May we be deeply rooted, grounded, established, made strong with a good structure in our life as we draw in a beautiful simplicity from the life source. I hope this blessed you. Until next time, be strong and be fruitful in the beauty of simplicity.